Religious autonomy is being reduced to state-administered protocol, and community rights are being redrawn with bureaucratic pens. Behind the bland language of governance lies the bold ambition of control.
From the studios of Extreme Sports in Hastings, Nebraska, we present Huddle Up, a great way to start your day with all the news, weather, and sports you need, interesting interviews, and friendly conversation from two guys that go together like Scooby and Shaggy, Mike Will and Tyson Havronic.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Huddle Up here on Extreme Sports for a Friday, the 18th day of April for 2025. We are jam-packed today. Going to be hearing from Hastings College head football coach Matt Franzen as the Broncos wrap up their spring workouts today with a scrimmage plan down at the Osborne Sports Complex. So we'll talk with him a little bit on the show here today. Marcus Metcalf is going to join us here in a little bit. He's going to have an interview with Tim Stroman, the Adams Central baseball coach, after the Patriots took care of Aurora in high school baseball action last night out at the Smith Complex. Plus, we'll hear from Jim Sliker from the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network. Get you set for the ponies this weekend at Fauner Park. Of course, in the sports, Nebraska baseball in action this weekend at home against Northwestern. We'll talk about that coming up. Softball team will play host to Indiana. Hastings College baseball team was in action yesterday. The Broncos won the first game against Midland and broke a 6-game losing streak with a 5-3 victory yesterday. James Velasquez had a solid outing on the mound for the Broncos. Hastings lost the second game, though, to the Warriors by the score of 10-2. Hastings will play up in South Dakota today at Yankton against Mount Marty. Top-seeded Bennington beat Hastings High last night 12-3 in the semifinals of the Eastern Midlands Conference Tournament. The game was stopped a couple of times because of the weather in the eastern part of the state, but they finally got it in, and Bennington beat Hastings by the score of 12-3. Tigers will be in action again today at Norris, and then tomorrow at home against Blair. Adams Central baseball team, as we mentioned, they destroyed Aurora last night by the score of 17-0. And the Hastings High boys soccer team, they're still undefeated on the season as they picked up a win over Norris last night. The NBA playoffs continuing. The NHL playoffs get underway this weekend. So lots going on in the sports scene here today as we check in with Tyson Havronic over in the Western Studios. Good morning.
And good morning. I guess, leave it in your capable hands. You pretty much you got all the news and all the events covered here for the Friday morning show. But yeah, looking forward to hearing from Timmy Boy here in a little bit, and we'll hear from Matt Franzen, like you mentioned, and Jim Schleicher. Always like to talk ponies here on a Friday. I got pretty much a free weekend other than Saturday, so Friday and Sunday right now is currently open, and that might constitute a little trek north to check out what's going on over there. But yeah, you mentioned it on the eastern part of the state. Wow, some wacky weather indeed, with some tornadoes that we saw via social media. Some that were kind of removing cars from the roadway. Saw a semi that had just kind of moved over in its place and eventually thrown into the ditch. So you had the light tornadoes, then you had the hailstones that we saw yesterday on social media. My God, near Fremont, some of those looked like outer-worldly. And you know when they start to like have that little scoop on the top, like that's bad news. Certainly the severe weather that was predicted for the eastern part of the state was on point, and they were under the gun last night for a good majority of the evening. And we just they got the baseball game in on the Hastings High side of things. Was able to get home safely, and it's got to be an early morning for them here on this Friday after making that trip out to Bennington and having that game delayed several times and making your way back to H-Town.
Yeah, the Tigers now going to play Norris. It just so happens Norris got upset last night by Waverly, so they had today open Hastings High will make up that game that we're supposed to play. Was it the first or second game of the season?
Right out of the chute, yeah.
Yeah, right out of the chute. So they finally found a date that they can make that up. So they're just going to play today since both teams were ousted from the conference tournament. They'll just make that up today. And then Hastings will play at home against Blair tomorrow. They're playing like 7 games in 8 days. Unbelievable for a high school baseball schedule. But I guess when it gets to the tail end of the season, you're trying to make up games and you get into the conference tournaments. You're going to be playing. They don't want to practice anyway, so they're playing like 7 games in 8 days. I think the only day they got off here is Easter Sunday.
Spoken like a baseball player. I mean, that's exactly what we would have had. That would have been our mentality at this point in the season. Like, let's just go out and play. Tired of field and ground balls, tired of doing these drills. Can we just put this into a game scenario and see what happens? But, you look at the first 14 days of the high school baseball schedule, and it was riddled with, rainouts, and then there was snowouts. We had blizzards that shut down midweek games, and, God, it seemed like every time we got a nice weekend, it would, just dump rain on you. So you have all those factors and trying to make up some of those games from the first 10 days of the season, finally squeezing them in. So you're looking at a pretty tight schedule here to round out the high school baseball season.
Yeah, we're already in the latter part of April. So
it's wild.
Well, the baseball season for the high school teams is so short anyway.
Right.
And you get some bad weather. You never can tell every year what the weather situation is going to be. So they pack in games, and you get bad weather for a stretch of a week or two, and things pile up, and you got to get the games in by the end of the season because the postseason will start here soon, and all those games have to be played for power points and everything like that. So that's what they're doing right now. They're making up a couple of games, and Hastings will be busy here. We'll pick up the Tigers tomorrow at home against Blair. That'll be a 1 o'clock game. They're going to let the junior varsity play first tomorrow. Normally the varsity plays and then the junior varsity plays. Tomorrow, I think they're just getting a little extra time because of their heavy schedule.
Yeah.
And the junior varsity guys will play first, and then the varsity team will play second. So we're anticipating about a 1 o'clock start tomorrow for Hastings High and Blair on the air with a pregame show with the coach at about 12:45 tomorrow afternoon. So that's what we got to broadcast-wise for the weekend. Again, Adams Central last night took care of Aurora. They played the game out at the Smith Complex because Hastings College had Duncan Field occupied yesterday with their doubleheader against Midland. Marcus Metcalf is going to join us here today. He caught up with Adams Central head coach Tim Stroman after the Patriots destroyed the Aurora Huskies yesterday 17-0.
Well, Coach, a nice way to bounce back. 17-0 win over Aurora here today after a tough loss there up at Seward here on Tuesday. But what a way for your guys to bounce back with, especially early on, a 5 spot here in the first before we had that lightning delay, and then an 8 spot in the second and the 4 spot in the fourth, and then that really just kind of put the game away.
Yeah, it was nice to see them not carry Thursday's game into today. And that's one of the things that this team does well is they move on. You'll find out pretty quick how the day's going to go based on that first inning. And they were having great approaches at the plate. Our pitcher went out and had a real quick inning, got our guys hitting right away, and just kept rolling with their great plate approach, putting the ball in play, forcing the opponent to make the plays, and being able to execute our game. Getting out, having that quick first inning gives us the chance to run the bases, steal some bases, put some bunts down, play the style of game that we're comfortable with. And the fact that we were able to do that and do it well was good to see after Thursday's game.
Oh, so you mentioned bunts. A couple of those bunts you guys laid down that first inning to put the first couple of runs across the play. Those are very well executed. I mean, just talk about how those guys are real able to lay down that bunt. And I would say grass kind of does help compared to the turf sometimes.
It really does. And, we practice it every day. That's one of the things that's a staple of our practice plans is being able to bunt, because we have to have something to fall back on. And honestly, with the way we've played the last year or two under my coaching style, I wouldn't even consider the bunt something to fall back on. I think it's a staple of our offense, and the kids know that. and they're bought into it, and they take it seriously. So the fact that they're able to get them down in game just speaks to their hard work at practice.
You mentioned offensively, you guys were really putting the ball to the bat pretty well, and defensively, pitching especially. Your pitching, you threw a few arms out there today. Just talk about your pitching in general, and then defensively, you only committed one error, so you got to be pretty pleased with that.
Absolutely. The fact that we have guys like Jaron and Caleb sitting in our bullpen that could very easily go to other schools in town or other schools similar and be their number probably 2 and 3 or 2 or 3 depending on the location of the school. It's nice to have that luxury. We have a lot of depth pitching wise, and those guys want to pitch. They've been throwing and working out just as long as all the other pitchers, and they're a staple in our defense, so it's tough to get them innings. But it's nice to be able to come out and see some meaningful pitches out of them in live competition. It's a lot different than throwing against your own guys time after time after time. So the fact that Jace, Caleb, and Jaron are able to come in and do it well is just nice to have that extra ammo in your bag.
Yeah, you mentioned you didn't want to have that Tuesday game kind of effect today, and they really didn't. But what did you think those kids took away from a game like Tuesday, where they faced adversity a lot in that game and almost came back and won that thing, but came up just one run short to at least tying the game? But what do your kids learn from a game like that?
We talked about that game Tuesday at length after, and it all comes down to pace of play. Yeah. We got to keep our defense active. We got to keep our guys in it. And if that means we don't pick off to first anymore, that means we don't pick off to first anymore. Mm-hmm. And if that means that we're going to give up a steal, that's fine. Let's keep our defense, let's keep our bench in it. And we've had some games where we struggle with that. And so when you have a team that's hitting the ball as well as we have been, and a team that's playing good defense, and a team that's pitching the ball well, there's still little things that we need to focus on to keep getting better. And that's one of the ones that we've really made a big focal point that we want to focus on in the next couple weeks is tempo and pace of play. And the guys fought back super hard on Tuesday. That was a game that I still thought we could win. I mean, if we go back and replay it, I'd run the same situation. We'd try and squeeze bunt in that situation. We had the right guys in the right spots to do it. And we saw a pickoff move to third base, which in high school baseball, you don't see that much anymore. Mm-hmm. And caught us off guard and just didn't get that last run across. But, yeah, to fight back down 7-1, it was a real tipping point in the game. It could have gotten ugly really quick, but we were able to kind of mend our wounds and push back at them, which was good to see.
Yeah, this marked win number 11 for you guys on the season, and you've had a lot of baseball. This spring sports, or especially baseball season, you play a lot of games in a short amount of time, and you guys played a lot of baseball here, and you guys were at home all last week, and it's kind of nice now you found out that you're going to be actually getting an extra home game or an added home game this coming Tuesday with Centennial, but it's nice for you guys. I kind of mentioned earlier, kind of get these kids a break. It's Easter, go spend some time with family, kind of get your mind off baseball. But now you got that extra home game now coming in Tuesday with Centennial. What does that mean? And then what is that going to bring for you guys next week? Guys, we're getting closer here. You're going to be playing some quality opponents here down the road.
Yeah, next week we have Centennial on Tuesday. And we're going to keep our same pitching rotation, keep the guys in the same groove. And we have Maxwell and North Platte, Class A opponent, on Thursday. But we have so much baseball, and we're at a good point. Our 3 out of 4 losses have been by 1 run. Tuesdays was against a very good Class B team. Yeah. Seward's well coached. They're disciplined. They're always prepared. And I mean, we're right there. And the kids, from a coaching standpoint, like I said, if we're focusing on pace of play and we're focusing on little things like that, that's a good sign. And so I want them to be able to not think about baseball and just go have fun, be a kid for a little bit, enjoy some family time, and then we'll get back to the grind on Monday and start preparing for the back half of our season.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your time, and nice 17-0 win. We'll see you on Tuesday, all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
That is Tim Stroman with Marcus Metcalf following their victory last night, 17-0 over the Aurora Huskies down at the Smith Complex. So the Patriots rolling along, 11-4 now in the season after an impressive win last night at the Smith Complex as they battled Mother Nature and the win. The win out at Smith is brutal anyway. And then when you have a system move through like we had yesterday, even though we didn't get a lot of rain, a lot of wind.
Did you have that dust crap that moved through about 4 o'clock or so?
Yep. Yeah, all of a sudden the winds picked up to like 40 mile an hour.
Yep.
And at Duncan, they were blowing out the straightaway center field. We had crap blowing all over the place. It lasted for about, 10 minutes?
Yep. It was right on my way back from the college over to First Street, and it was just like Highway 6. All you could see was dust. It was reminiscent of like the Dust Bowl, and they kicked up all that crap, and then that continued east. And I was like, man, I could just tell by the way the humidity got at that point in the evening, and with the dust kicking up and the winds howling about 40 miles per hour. I mean, there were some good outflow stuff from a system that was building. And we saw what that happened on the eastern side of the state. But yeah, I couldn't see coming home from Highway 6. It was dusty on right at the Showboat Railroad crossings. Like I had no idea if the crossings were down or up. You couldn't see a damn thing.
Yeah, so hopefully,
it's crazy.
Yeah, so hopefully everybody got through it last night. Like you said, most of the severe stuff was in the eastern part of Nebraska and the western part of Iowa, just as they predicted. Just as Tim predicted yesterday on the show. So for once, the weather guys were right on.
Yeah.
They were right on. They had it targeted down pretty well yesterday. So anyway, you're waking up with Mike and Tyson here today. This is Huddle Up on Extreme Sports. Again, if you'd like to chime in, you can. 402-834-1330 is our telephone number. 402-834-1330. And call us anytime. Talk about what we're talking about or something on your mind, something that's not even sports related. If you want to spill your guts, so to speak, drop us a call or a message on one of the social media sites. We'll get to it here as we get you up and get you going this morning on this Friday. Let's see what else we got going. Let's get to the news break. We got Jim Sliker. He's going to be standing by here in a little bit. We better get to a news break here. It's 7:17 now on Extreme Sports.
It's time for a morning news update on Extreme Sports.
All right, spin the wheel, pick a topic. I mean, we could go just about anywhere today. Let's start with medical marijuana. The Nebraska Legislature's General Affairs Committee has been working on implementing medical marijuana legalization, this following voter approval last November. Repeat, voters approved it. The legislature hasn't even advanced the issue to the full floor for full debate. The voter-approved issue still stuck in committee. Key debates include whether smokable marijuana or flower will be allowed and if PTSD should be on the list of qualifying conditions. Senator John Kavanaugh criticized a recent amendment for excluding the smokable marijuana and omitting PTSD from the approved list of ailments, arguing it contradicts the entire intent of the ballot initiative. The committee voted 5-3 against that particular version of the bill that had those restrictions. However, Senator Ben Hansen, who sponsored that bill, said he might try to bring it to a full legislative debate as early as Tuesday. And then there's the topic of lab-grown meat, which may have continued issues in terms of protests for later on. We'll get to that here in just a second. The Nebraska legislature began second-round debate on a bill to ban the sale and production of lab-grown meat. Senator Daniel Conrad of Omaha opposed the ban, arguing that clear labeling, not prohibition, is probably the better approach, especially since there's little evidence of or any safety concerns. But Senator Barry DeKay, who introduced the bill on behalf of the governor, described it as a temporary measure, similar to a moratorium, suggesting that the ban could be lifted if future lab-grown meat is proven safe and nutritious. The legislature adjourned without voting, and debate is expected to continue on Tuesday as they adjourn for the Easter holiday. And whether or not that has anything to do with the People's Ethical Treatment of Animals, or whatever the hell PETA stands for, they're planning a protest today in Hastings, of all places. They're targeting restaurants that serve pork. Yeah, the demonstration is part of a broader campaign against the meat industry, and apparently they don't realize where they're coming because they're coming to Central Nebraska, which is a really bad idea. They'll be using their Hell on Wheels pig truck, which features graphic images of pigs and speakers playing pig cries on loop. They're planning to stop downtown Hastings at Murphy's at around noon. And again, they're coming to Central Nebraska, who relies on agriculture for their livelihood, so may or may not be the best idea to plan a protest here. But that's the news here at 7:20. PETA coming to Hastings. What a world.
Well, maybe the administration ought to get rid of stuff like that.
Right? That's, so that's the news. What's going on in sports, bud?
I'm stay away from Murphy's at noon, huh?
That's the. I don't really want to deal with PETA today.
Yeah, the pigs are going to take over. In sports, the Nebraska baseball team will play host to Northwestern this weekend. Huskers are 17-20 on the season, 5-10 in the conference. The Cats are 16-18. They're 7-8 in the league. Nebraska has won 9 consecutive games against Northwestern after sweeping the Wildcats last year in Evanston. Tonight's game gets underway at 6. The Nebraska softball team will host Indiana this weekend. Huskers are 32-10. They're 11-3 in the conference. The Hoosiers are 28-12. They're 7-7 in the league. Tonight's game gets underway at 5 o'clock. Hastings College baseball team broke a 6-game losing streak with a 5-3 win over Midland yesterday in the first game of a doubleheader out at Duncan Field. James Velasquez was the winning pitcher. He went the distance and gave up 3 runs and 5 base hits. He struck out 9 and walked 1. Elijah Merritt had 3 hits for the Broncos. Midland won the second game 10-2. Marcus Miller was the losing pitcher. Jordan Albertson and Jace Valdez had 2 hits apiece. Hastings is now 8-28 on the season, 5-17 in the conference. They'll play at Mount Marty today. First pitch will be at 3. The Nebraska Kearney softball team dropped a pair of games to Pittsburgh State yesterday, 10-3 and 10-1. The Lopers are now 22-23. They're 8-12 with the MIAA. They'll play at Missouri Southern today. Top-seeded Bennington beat Hastings High 12-3 last night in the semifinals of the Eastern Midlands Conference Tournament. The Badgers broke open a tight game with 7 runs in the 4th inning. Hastings is now 8-5 in the season. They will play at Norris today. First pitch will be at 3 this afternoon. Norris lost to Waverly 2-0 last night in the other conference semifinal game. Saturday, Hastings High will play host to Blair. Game time will be at 1. We'll have the action on Extreme Sports beginning with the pregame show at 12:45. Adams Central beat Aurora 17-0 last night at the Smith Complex. The Patriots scored 5 runs in the first inning, 8 in the second, and 4 in the fourth to put the game away early after 4.5 innings. Nick Musial was the winning pitcher. Jaron Johnson had 3 hits and an RBI. Adams Central now 11-4 in the season. They'll play at Centennial on Tuesday. In some other games, yesterday, Central City Centura beat Lincoln Lutheran 10-4, and Seward got by York by a score of 5-2. Hastings High boys soccer team is now 10-0 on the season. The Tigers beat Norris 2-0 last night. In the girls' game, Hastings lost to Norris 4-2. The Tigers are now 3-7. Both teams will play in the Eastern Midlands Conference Tournament coming up next week. In the NBA playoffs tonight, Miami will play at Atlanta. Dallas is at Memphis in the final 2 play-in games. And then tomorrow, the real stuff begins. Opening round series get underway. In the Eastern Conference, Milwaukee will play at Indiana. And Detroit is at the New York Knicks. In the West, the LA Clippers are at Denver. And Minnesota will play at the Los Angeles Lakers. That's a check on your sports headlines coming up on 7:25 on Extreme Sports.
It's time for a morning weather update on Extreme Sports with Chief Meteorologist Tim Jones. We made it to Friday, and that storm system is gone. So is the severe weather, and so is the warm weather as well, and the winds are back. Hey everybody, Tim Jones, Nebraska Weather TV. Today we'll have a high of 54 degrees. Northerly winds 20 to 25, gusting into the mid-30s. Overnight tonight will dip down close to freezing, an overnight low of 34. Mostly cloudy skies, 60s high on Saturday, plenty of sunshine. Then we bring in rain chances for Easter Sunday, carrying over into Monday.
As you wake up, get going this morning. North winds already blowing at 17 miles per hour. Cloudy skies, it is 42 in Hastings at Extreme Sports.
Accessible and affordable holistic care is just around the corner at Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center. Located at 208 South Burlington Avenue, Suite 101 in Hastings. At Bamboo Spa, we offer a range of therapies to help you unwind and recharge. Experience soothing massages, rejuvenating head spa scalp treatments, and our Advanced Glow 2 facials. Discover the healing power of ozone therapy and frequency healing. Become a member for exclusive 24-hour access to our therapeutic amenities, including the infrared sauna, hydro massage, and cryo lounge. Members enjoy 20% off all services and 10% off products in our non-toxic retail shop. Visit our Facebook page to learn more and book your appointment today. Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center, truly holistic care, designed for you.
I'm John Butler, Funeral Director and owner at Livingston Butler Volland Funeral Home and Cremation Center in Hastings.
And I'm Nikki Butler, the Advanced Funeral Planning Specialist. Whether you choose a traditional service, cremation, or a unique memorial service, our experienced staff is here to help guide you through every step. Visit us at lbvfh.com to learn more about our services and how we can support you.
Livingston Butler Volland Funeral Home and Cremation Center. We are here when your need is greatest.
Hamilton has been providing IT solutions for businesses across the state of Nebraska for more than 3 decades. We know that Nebraska businesses are a driving force of support for the communities in which we live and work. We keep them connected and protected by delivering cybersecurity, hosted phones, and managed IT. We are grateful to be part of our Nebraska communities and to support their technology needs.
More information at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Extreme Sports has been bringing you the exclusive home of Hastings College Athletics, and we're just getting started. Thanks to our incredible sponsors and your support, Extreme Sports 2 has been a huge success. And now we're excited to announce the launch of Extreme Sports 3. With Extreme Sports 3, you'll get even more local sports coverage. Plus, 24/7 access to Sports by Line, where you'll hear the best in national sports talk. Whether it's Hastings College, high school action, or the latest from around the sports world, we've got it covered across all 3 streams. And don't forget, when we're not broadcasting games, join us weekday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m. for Huddle Up with Mike Will and Tyson Havronik. It's the perfect way to start your day with sports, news, weather, and great local interviews. So tune in, check out all 3 streams, and stay with us for even more sports coverage coming soon. Thank you to our sponsors for making it all possible, and to you, our listeners, for keeping Extreme Sports strong.
All right, Mike Will, Tyson Havronik with you on this Friday morning, the 18th day of April for 2025. Thanks for joining us, whether you're listening to us maybe online on our website, x-streamsports.com, maybe on your smartphone with our free mobile app, your smart speaker, Roku TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch. We are everywhere here this morning. Again, thanks for joining us. It's a Friday. It's close to 7:30, and you know what that means. All right, it's time for a little horse talk here this morning on Extreme Sports. And huddle up, Jim Sliker from the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network is going to join us again here this morning. Good morning, Jimbo.
Morning, guys.
Happy Easter to you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to it. That kind of kicks things off right away. Please remember there is no racing Sunday at Bonner Park due to the observance of the Easter holiday. But other than that, there's 2 great days, 2 great cards on tap this weekend.
Yeah, let's talk about the action coming up at Bonner. Since we're not going to race Sunday, we got to make all of our money on Friday and Saturday, Jim. So what do you got going this weekend?
Well, like I said, we got 8 good races today. That's kind of highlighted as far as I feel by the 8th race in here, as far as trying to make some money. The horse I like in there is a horse by the name of O.I. Giggle, number 10. Dyson, when's the last time you've seen Izzy Gonzalez run a horse where he's only got 1 entrant in the race and Kevin Roman's not riding it? Kevin chose to slip over to the David Anderson barn, who he writes kind of second call for, and he took O.I. Giggle. And like I said, Izzy does have a horse in there, so I really see that as a big sign. This horse is trying to break his maiden, and like I said, I see a good sign there that Kevin went over there. The change in the rider there, you should give him some speed out on the front end, and as we've seen in the past, and I can't emphasize enough, this track has a real inside speed bias right now. Unless they've really harrowed it deep over the last day or two, we should continue to see that. So I really look for O.I. Giggle to get out and put some Easter ham on the table for us all.
And that's O.I. Giggle, and that's coming out of the 10 spot. Is there any concern with that coming out of the outside post?
No, not really. This race doesn't have a lot of speed in it. And so that should really help set it up. You ought to be able to get all the way across the track. We all know Kevin can get a horse out of the gate. And so I look for that to be a big plus with Kevin riding that horse today. Like I said, he ought to be able to get all the way across, get to the rail, save the ground, and win the race.
Jim, what else pops up on today's card up at Bonner?
Well, on today's card, I guess if we're trying to make a little money, let's start right off with race 1 and a horse by the name of Carpe Gold. He ran okay in his only start this year. He showed speed at Canterbury last year, and so I'm looking for him to come out today and show some speed. He hasn't shown a lot here this year. He's in the barn of Kelly Martinez. I look for, again, him to get out and be at some big odds, and I'm going to be playing him in the exotics, a little bit in the exactas, and at big odds I think we can make some money off of him. In his only start this year, he was extremely wide the whole time, and being on the inside this time gets a good rider there. I see a big change here, so I think that's a good opportunity to try to make some money.
Yeah, you've got Ribs on a Roll sitting as your long shot play here on this Friday. You mentioned Carpe Gold on the Saturday card there, Jim. But talk about this Ribs on a Roll horse and what he's bringing to the table. Why he's our long shot play here in race 1.
Well, he's another one that gets a rider change, and he's going to Kevin Roman, and so we're seeing a big change here. Kevin Roman, obviously, leading rider now. David Cardoso started out being the leading rider, super hot this year, but Kevin Roman's picked it up, and so Kevin goes to this horse. This horse showed a lot of speed last season. He takes a drop in class, and I look for them to take the lead out of the gate, and he's running for trainer Kelly Martinez. Now, this horse, again, hasn't shown a lot since Kelly's trained him, but getting Kevin on him, like I said, we all know Kevin's got some good hands to get a horse out of the gate. So I look for Riz on a Roll to get out and roll today.
All right, again, we talk with Jim Schleicher from the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network as we're kind of setting you up for a big weekend of racing up at Fauner Park in Grand Island. We've talked about the Friday card. I know the Saturday card, the Pepsi Stakes coming up on Saturday. Jim, is there anything in there that we want to take a look at?
Well, that's kind of an interesting race. You know, a lot of these have been running against older horses, and now we go strictly to 3-year-old fillies. So that kind of changes the complexity here. There's a couple of horses in here to me that kind of stand out, and that's Running on Promises and Flatter Me Baby. Running on Promises has back class. He's been running well. He's another one that if we look at his class, he's run against some tougher horses. He was running at Santa Anita in California last year. Started out, they were betting him down. He was a favorite out there before, and so I look for him just off a back class to kind of get this race. Stetson Rustin has him. He won his last out, wire-to-wire fashion, but I think this is going to be a little different. There's some tough horses in here, like I said, as far as a little bit of class. I look at Flatter Me Baby to possibly upset the field. If this horse had had a start this year, I think it'd make a big difference. But last year, he run up at Canterbury, and that horse could lay down some quick fractions. He hasn't had an out over the track, but when we look at Bethke and Bethke, so we got trainer jockey Scott Bethke, trainer Troy Bethke. When them two team up, they win at about a 25% rate. And coming out of the stakes race or coming into the stakes race here, I think they could be pretty tough with that inside post.
Again, we're talking with Jim Schleicher from the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network. You can get all of Jim's picks via Facebook and just joining the Facebook group, get all the insights and some of the information about this weekend's card. Let's stay on the Pepsi Stakes for a minute. These stakes races, Jim, is where I like to really get creative with my exotics, and I think that the money is in the exotics, the exactas, the tries. As I look at this particular card here for the Pepsi Stakes, and I like the two horses that you mentioned. I think you got to throw the 4 in there somewhere. Gina's Serenade, he just kind of jumps out at me as somebody that's going to be right there with the leaders, and I think if you're playing exotics, you got to put the 4 in there somewhere as well. Do you agree?
I have no problem throwing him in there. Comes out of the good barn of David Anderson, pretty well-bred little filly. She's only had one start. The race that she run was a fantastic race. She took in pretty much went wire to wire. She battled on the lead for the first half mile and then pulled away. Her time that race was really good for the 3-year-old fillies. It's just let's see what the bounce back effect is there. I think that horse is going to take some money, but yeah, that horse that was kind of my third pick there. Mm-hmm. I think this race is pretty wide open, but them are the 3 horses that do stand out to me too.
All right, talking the Saturday card up at Fauner Park in Grand Island. So we talked about the Pepsi Stakes. Is there a best bet, a long shot that we should maybe be taking a look at on Saturday?
Well, on Saturday, the best bet's going to come out of race 5, the number 4 horse, Will Take Cash. This horse won wire to wire last time. He just blew the field away, did it in convincing style. All the speed in this race is to the outside of him, so that should help him get down to the rail right away, save the ground, and with his speed, he ought to be able to dictate the speed in this race, meaning he ought to be able to get out there, hopefully slow it down a little bit, get a little breather going down the back stretch, and have plenty of kick in the run for the wire. I don't know as though he'll pay a lot, but like I said, he does look like he's by far the best horse in that field. And so them are kind of the couple I've been looking at. Like I said, for the best bets, I Giggle, and today and tomorrow, We'll Take Cash, and long shots on Friday. We talked a little bit about it already. Ribs on a Roll. And then on Saturday, coming out with Carpe Gold. Like I said, Carpe Gold, that ought to be a really good payer. If he hits the board, we're going to make some money, and we're going to have some we'll have some special ham on Sunday.
All right, Jim. One more race that I want to focus on a little bit here before we get set for Easter plans and let you go. The race prior to the Pepsi Stakes, a big cash cow for me this year at Fauner has been Axel Steele. Axel Steele in this 8th race is in a really talented field of a lot of fast ponies. This is going to be a speed race, and it might even feature the horse that you have predicted here in Fayette Warrior with definitely strengths on speed and stamina.
Well, yeah, Fayette Warrior last time out tried the Dowd Mile. That was a very tough race it was in. Now he's going back to just an allowance competition. Some of the same horses are in this race, but this race really stacks up with a lot of speed. But Fayette Warrior's just one of those tough, gutted out, big heart horses. He's both times he's won this year, he's paid double digits. He's paid $30 plus both times, if I remember right. Like I said, I think this is going to be a really tough race. The thing that really benefits him is he's on the inside of the speed. So if he breaks well, he ought to be able to keep him to his outside. Axel Steele, I said that's going to be another tough one. Likes being on the lead. It was another one that come out of the last time out was in the Tondi Stakes, and it kind of had problems going into the first turn. Got forced out a little wide, lost a lot of position. He should be able to get a little more of a ground-saving trip this time. He does have Fayette Warrior just to his inside, though.
All right, so it sounds like another exciting weekend up there at Fauner Park in Grand Island, Jimmy. And anything else we need to know? Anything going on in the nation that horse racing fans need to know about?
Well, it's kind of a quiet couple weeks now. We're only 15 days out from the Kentucky Derby, so the fields are starting to get set there. There are no more prep races. Kind of a quick rundown, the top 10 Derby points leaders that should, about all of these top 10 should go in the Derby would be Burnham Square, Sandman, Journalism, Rodriguez, Tiztastic, Cap and Steel, Sovereignty, Final Gambit, Coal Battle, and Chunk of Gold. And there's a couple looking on the outside because we only have room for 20 in the starting gates. Render Judgment. A horse I kind of like is that Beza that'll be hoping somebody scratches and he gets in, or a lot of people have been really high on Chancer McPeak. But them are horses looking on the outside. We're only 15 days out. Next Saturday we'll have the pre-entry for the Derby. Also, speaking of next Saturday, the 26th is the Bosselman Stakes, the $75,000 race. They took nominations for that race, and there's some really good ones in there. Some of the locals we'll see are Arthurian coming back from the Dowd Mile. General Shipman won the Ogatal Stakes. That's a Nebraska bred who really hasn't been facing Nebraska breds. He's been facing some of the best horses down in Louisiana, Texas, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. When he run here, he won the Ogatal Stakes, so it's kind of a good sign to see Nebraska breeding's picking up. Drive Happy's nominated, won the Tondi, and then we see some outsiders coming in. Creative Monster for he was in the Grade 3 Razorback. We might see our first Japanese horse here. Not sure quite how to pronounce this. Tomobrino Amoto. He run in the Grade 2 New Orleans Stakes down at the fairgrounds. And then Tyson's favorite horse, Mark Hibden, has nominated Tennessee Moon, the filly, to take on the guys. Now, whether he runs in that, we'll see. But Tennessee Moon is nominated for the Bosselman next Saturday.
All right, so there you go. Definitely some things to look forward to in the next week or so, at least the next 15 days, huh, Jimmy?
Oh, it is. It's getting to be that exciting time, that leading up to the Derby, and the greatest 2 minutes in sports is coming up just 15 days away, and then we also, like I said, everybody looks forward to the Bosselman, and that's a race that I look forward to every year, seeing these good quality shippers coming in, taking on some of the local horses. And, the sad part about it is that means our season here at Fawner Park is winding down. There's only 3 more weekends of racing at Fawner before we move on to Lincoln and Omaha and Columbus.
All right, so if the folks want to follow your picks again, go to your Facebook group. You got all the selections there. I looked at them already this morning, Jimmy, so they're easy to find, and people just got to go to your Facebook group and find those.
Yeah, you can. All my selections every day. I'll be on our Facebook group, the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network, and it's not only just putting the picks on there. It's kind of explaining why I like them. It gives you a place to start. Not saying I'm 100% correct. Some days are better than others, but it gives you a little bit of an insight to the race on why I do like the horses, and hopefully you'll be able to discern and find a couple of horses of your own in there to pair with them and then make some money.
All right, Jimmy, thanks for joining us again this week. Look forward to next week. Have yourself a good Easter coming up this week, and hopefully you can make some cash up at the track this weekend.
I like that idea, and let's take this time to make some. And remember, come out to the track. You will have fun because you can bet on it.
Cheers, Jim.
Yeah, that's
thanks, guys.
All right, Jim Slacker from the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network. Yeah, Bossman race coming up next weekend.
It goes so fast. I mean,
it's like the baseball season. We just got done talking about the high school baseball season. It's here, and then it's gone.
So, I mean, it's the favorite springtime tradition for a reason. But, I mean, you just wish it could be like this favorite spring and summertime tradition. Like, I make a habit every year. I'm like, I'm going to go to more horse racing this year. I'm gonna spend more time at the track. I'm going to get better at handicapping. And then life gets in the way and you get busy. And before you know it, it's like, I've been to the track a couple of times. I really want to go more, and I wish this season could continue because I feel like I'm just now getting in the groove in terms of my handicapping skills, and I'm finally getting back into a rhythm after making some like early long shot plays to try to make some quick cash earlier this summer. But I think we got down to a system, and I like what Jim said. What I use is I'll take a look at Jim's picks. I will read up on some of his research, and at that point, you're still taking your own handicapping skills a little bit. Me, I play the exotics. I like to play those exactas and tries, and I'll take a couple of Jim's, I'll take a couple of mine, and I'll toss them all together. And God, you look back at last Saturday, and that was a winning combination. So he's done well for me, and he's been a huge asset to this show. Gives a little credibility because I think he's the only person with an above 500 percentage on picks. So we love having him on, and it's been a blast.
All right, 7:47, waking up with Mike and Tyson. This is Huddle Up on Extreme Sports for this Friday. Let's talk some football, shall we? Hastings College football team going to be wrapping up their spring drills today. They've got a short 50 to 55 play scrimmage plan for about noon today. That's Lloyd Wilson Field. We met up with Hastings head coach Matt Franzen yesterday, and he talked about the scrimmage.
I call it a controlled scrimmage. It won't look like a game. We won't do any special teams within the actual scrimmage. We'll have six different possessions. Basically, is what we'll do. We'll start out the first unit of the offense, first unit of the defense. We'll start out at the minus 30-yard line, and then the twos will come in, and then we'll do the same thing at the plus 30-yard line, and then we'll put the ball at the 50-yard line, and we'll run basically two sets of plays or two drives from each spot. So 6 possessions. If it's a 3 and out, we'll restart it. But if we do pick up a first down, we'll finish the drive wherever it finishes in the end zone, or if it ends in a 4th down or a turnover or whatever it is. And then we're planning to do one overtime period at the end of the scrimmage, and we'll play it as a college overtime, so 25-yard line and driving in. Now we don't have a place kicker here currently, so our kicker last year was a senior. We have a couple freshmen coming in, but of course they're at high school senior proms right now, so we don't have a kicker. We'll go for 2-point conversion on any touchdown, and then we won't kick a field goal. We'll go for it on 4th down if we're in the red zone.
We also talked about goals, maybe something the coaching staff will be looking at in today's scrimmage.
In spring ball, the number one goal for every coach in the country is stay healthy, avoid the big injuries. But we scrimmaged a week ago, and we're going to use the exact same format. It ends up being about 50 total plays, and I was really happy a week ago with all of it. Offensively, the run game is much improved, and that has been our focus ever since the end of last season, is that we have to be able to run the football first, and that's got to be our focus, and then we will throw the ball off of that. And that's been there, and that looked good last week. And then defensively, I was really happy last week as well. We don't have a lot of depth anywhere across the board, but defensively we cause problems. We create turnovers. One of our linebackers, Jake Lambert, who had 3 interceptions last season as an inside linebacker, he had an interception last week in the scrimmage, and he's got a knack for that. So those things are happening. Secondary is a mix of young and veterans, but those guys are playing well also. And so no, I was overall pleased with it last week, and hopefully we can have the same type of performance this week.
The Broncos adjusting to a new offensive coordinator during spring ball, and certainly when we get going for the fall campaign. And he says that's been a nice switch.
It's been good. Our players have been extremely receptive to it. It's going to be a different looking offense. I think I told people when we were in the transition of hiring a new offensive coordinator that the offense to the casual observer may not look a lot different. I retract that statement. We do look quite a lot different than what we did in the fall. Now in the fall, we were spreading the field out, and we had 4 wide receivers on the field in a lot of cases. Right now, we're running a lot of our spring football with 2 tight ends on the field and 2 wide receivers, and we are running the ball. And even in the spring, in most springs that I've been a part of, have been heavier on the pass. Because you want to be light on the offensive lineman and that sort of thing, and we haven't been. I mean, you're going to see in the scrimmage, you're going to see a lot of run game, and hopefully it's productive. But using 2 tight ends, Jake Bargan will be a senior next year, and Anthony Phillips will be a junior. He was injured a lot of the offseason. He's just gotten back into practice this last week and a half, so you're going to see a little bit of him at tight end. But Eli Nappy, who was a starting quarterback a couple years ago, then moved to wide receiver, and he's still playing wide receiver, but he's also playing a lot of tight end here in the spring and giving us everything he's got. But with Jake and Eli, there's been some fun things out there in the run game, and then you get the play action pass and some things there that come along with that.
That's Hastings College head coach Matt Franzen. Again, the Broncos will scrimmage to wrap up their spring workouts today at about noon at the Osborne Sports Complex. So rolling along here for a Friday morning. It's already 7:53.
It's time for a morning news update on Extreme Sports.
Starting on the topic of medical marijuana, the Nebraska Legislature General Affairs Committee has been working this past legislative session on implementing medical marijuana legalization because voters approved it last November. Voters approved it, and the legislature has yet to advance the issue to the full legislature to the floor to pass it. This voter-approved issue still stuck in committee. Key debates in the committee debate include whether smokable marijuana will be allowed and if PTSD should be on the list of qualifying conditions. Senator John Kavanaugh criticized a recent amendment to the bill that they were putting together for excluding the flower and omitting PTSD from the approved list of ailments, arguing that it quite literally contradicts the intent of the ballot initiative. The committee voted 5-3 against that version that included the restrictions. However, Senator Ben Hansen, who sponsored that particular bill, said he could try to bring it to the full legislature to debate as early as Tuesday. The topic of lab-grown meat. The Nebraska legislature began second-round debate on a bill to ban the sale and production of lab-grown meat in the state. Senator Daniel Conrad of Omaha opposing the ban, arguing that clear labeling, not prohibition, is probably a better approach, especially since there's very little evidence of health or safety concerns. But Senator Barry DeKay, who introduced the bill on behalf of the governor, described it as merely guidelines, a temporary measure similar to a moratorium, suggesting that the ban could be lifted in the future if lab-grown meat is proven safe and nutritious. However, the legislature adjourned before coming to a final vote on that measure for second-round reading. Debate expected to continue on that for Tuesday, as Nebraska lawmakers will break for the Easter holiday. Meanwhile, PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, or whatever that acronym stands for, they're planning a protest today in south central Nebraska, right here in Hastings, targeting restaurants that serve pork. A demonstration set for today, part of their broader campaign against the meat industry, where they'll be using their Hell on Wheels pig truck. It's a great TV show, bad name for a pig truck. It features graphic images of pigs and speakers playing pig cries on loop. The first stop will be at Murphy's, apparently, according to the press release from PETA, that they're planning for around noon. They're planning, again, to come to south central Nebraska, whose livelihood depends on meat, to protest meat. Good luck. It's 7:55, 5 minutes till 8 o'clock. Mike, what's going on in sports?
Hastings College baseball team broke a 6-game losing streak with a 5-3 win over Midland yesterday. First game of a doubleheader at Duncan. Hastings lost his second game 10-2. Broncos will play at Mount Marty today. Tom-seeded Bennington beat Hastings High 12-3 last night in the semifinals of the Eastern Midlands Conference Tournament. The Tigers now 8-5 on the season. They'll play a makeup game against Norris today. With the first pitch at 3 o'clock, Norris lost the other semifinal game to Waverly last night by a score of 2-0. So just so happens to be a nice, convenient spot for those two teams to make up a game today. So Hastings will take on Norris today, and then the Tigers will play Blair tomorrow, beginning at 1. We'll have the Blair-Hastings game for you tomorrow afternoon here on Extreme Sports. Adams Central, they beat Aurora in high school basketball last night by the score of 17-0. The Patriots are now 11-4 in the season. Hastings High boys soccer team still undefeated. They are 10-0. They beat Norris last night by a score of 2-0.
It's time for a morning weather update on Extreme Sports with Chief Meteorologist Tim Jones.
We made it to Friday, and that storm system is gone. So is the severe weather, and so is the warm weather as well, and the winds are back. Hey everybody, Tim Jones, Nebraska Weather TV. Today we'll have a high of 54 degrees. Northerly winds 20 to 25, gusting into the mid-30s. Overnight tonight will dip down close to freezing, an overnight low of 34. Mostly cloudy skies, 60s the high on Saturday. Plenty of sunshine. Then we bring in rain chances for Easter Sunday, carrying over into Monday.
North winds this morning at 17. It is cloudy 41 in Hastings and Extreme Sports.
Conant Auto Care is the trusted name in automotive repair and maintenance services in Hastings. We're a gold-certified Napa Auto Care Center. Our ASE-certified technicians have the Blue Seal of Excellence, receive continuous training, and are committed to providing the best service your vehicle can get. Whether it's preventative maintenance, major repairs, or just an oil change, Conant Auto Care is here for you.
Accessible and affordable holistic care is just around the corner at Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center. Located at 208 South Burlington Avenue, Suite 101 in Hastings. At Bamboo Spa, we offer a range of therapies to help you unwind and recharge. Experience soothing massages, rejuvenating head spa scalp treatments, and our Advanced Glow 2 facials. Discover the healing power of ozone therapy and frequency healing. Become a member for exclusive 24-hour access to our therapeutic amenities, including the infrared sauna, hydromassage, and cryo lounge. Members enjoy 20% off all services and 10% off products in our non-toxic retail shop. Visit our Facebook page to learn more and book your appointment today. Bamboo Spa and Wellness Center, truly holistic care, designed for you.
All right, Mike Welch, Tyson Evronic, huddle up here on Extreme Sports for this Friday as we cruise right on through the hour there. Heard from Tim Stroman, Jim Sliker, also Matt Franzen. We'll have more from Coach Franzen coming up next week. Like I said, I sat down and really dove into the Broncos for the spring and the improvements that are trying to be made for the program, the new offensive coordinator, and kind of what the offense is going to look like for next year. So we'll hear a lot from Matt coming up during the show next week. Nebraska also wrapping up their spring workouts next week, so I'm sure we'll hear from a lot of the coaches next week as they prepare to put the wraps on their spring season. So that's what's coming ahead next week here on Huddle Up.
Love his comment about talking how the offense was going to be so similar, and he retracted that previous statement from last fall, saying that the offense has got kind of a new wrinkle and a new look. So, yeah, looking forward to some HC conversation with head coach Matt Franzen, and I gotta love Jimbo. His comment in regards to the acronym now for PETA. People enjoying tasty animals is Jim's comment today. Can you think of a worse place to protest than South Central Nebraska for an organization like that? Like protesting farming operations? Yep. Good riddance. Like go somewhere in the metro. Go somewhere else.
Don't they do that quite often, though?
They've tried in the past. They literally had a sheriff chase him off in Clay County a couple of years ago. It was a beautiful story. It was great.
Well, we'll find out what happens. I'm sure they're going to make more than just one stop, but they're going to start downtown. We ought to all go in and order like a pork sandwich today or something.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking.
We'll just all line up and all of us order like a pork sandwich, a little barbecue sauce oozing out over your pork sandwich.
Pork.
Well, I have to do that today. Going to head out to take a look at the Hastings College football team today. Again, they're going to have a short scrimmage to wrap up their spring workouts. We're heading in that direction today. I thought I was maybe going to head to the lake this weekend.
It's going to be cold.
It's not going to happen.
It's not
I'm not going to the lake and sitting there and turning on my furnace.
Yeah, you don't. Nothing is better than a pontoon boat and a sweater, you know? I was with you. I was thinking like, man, it's going to be a beautiful weekend. The way the week set up, it was so gorgeous. Well, that storm front blows through and leaves behind. What the hell? Temperatures dipping below freezing? No.
I peeked into next weekend with the same thought.
How's it looking?
So, no, it's going to be 70s early in the week, and then by next weekend again, it's going to be back down in the 50s with rain.
No.
So here we go again.
No.
Here we go again.
Why does it always have to be the weekend? Like, why can't we have this crap during the week where we really don't care and have a nice weekend?
No.
Is that too much to ask?
Hopefully that will clear up here soon. So, anyway, it's been a quick week here with a Huddle Up in Extreme Sports. We covered a lot of topics. Again, if you'd like to listen to this show again, because we had a lot of info in this show all within an hour.
It was loaded.
Digesting all the info that we threw at you right out of the bat here.
Loaded like pork nachos.
Pork sandwiches. God, you're right on that, aren't you?
It fires me up, dude.
Like send you down there.
It takes a lot to get me like super fired up.
You just don't like that group?
Normally, I am I'm pro-protest. You know me. Like, I'm anti-government. I am like, let's go blow the establishment on its head, turn it over, knock over the house of cards. You're protesting agriculture. Like, do something else. There are millions of things to protest that are going on in this world right now. Farming practices from the farmers that care the most about their animals and agriculture is the least of your worries, the least of your concerns. Go do something else. Go touch some grass. Good Lord.
Oh, the bacon I'm going to have tomorrow for breakfast. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for that.
Bacon.
All right, we'll get you on your merry way, get you out the door here this morning. Again, you can listen to a complete replay of this show. Go to our social media sites. You'll find the podcast section. You can listen to the show again. A lot of people that we are hanging out with they don't get up at 7 o'clock. They don't even know that 7 o'clock is on their alarm clock. But that's okay. You can download the show and listen to it whenever you want. If it's 3 in the afternoon or at midnight tonight, you can listen to this show again. So have yourself a great week. Anything else on the table we need to know about on your aspect? I know there's hockey this weekend.
Let's go Blues. We play Saturday.
Open
up against the Jets on TNT.
Hopefully you'll be in a good mood on Monday. We'll do it again Monday morning at 7. It's Huddle Up here on Extreme Sports.
You've been listening to Huddle Up on Extreme Sports.